It's a very good morning to some of you, a good afternoon, or a very good evening to you all. Welcome to the Coaching Cafe. My name is Natalie Ashdown from Open Door Coaching, and I'm joined on the line by Paula Jones-Hunt. Hello, Paula.
Hello, everyone.
Great to see everyone coming on the line, and whether you're listening to this live or on your favorite streaming service, welcome at this Coaching Cafe. We're talking about the highlights from the 2025 ICF Global Coaching Study. Before we begin, let's acknowledge the traditional owners, the custodians on the lands on which we all meet today, and their continuing connections to the land, waters, and communities of Australia, and the lands from all around the world, wherever you might be joining us. We pay our respects to them, to elders past, present, and emerging, and elders from Indigenous communities from all around the world. Well, I'm excited, as always, to be joining you for our Coaching Cafe, and excited, as always, to be sharing great information with you. Today, it's about the ICF Global Coaching Study, the 2025 final report, and really great timing, actually, because it's our second last Coaching Cafe of the year. So let's share some of the statistics with you to give us some optimism to going into the 2026 year. I want to share the highlights with you. And if you are new to the Coaching Cafe, welcome. We are all about creating a community, having shared learning experiences like this one today, and having thought-provoking conversations. You can join us live or on your favorite streaming service, and we offer free CCUs as our service to the community. All right, let's talk about the study. So I want to give you a quick overview, and you can buy the 75-page report if you like and study all the statistics, or like I did because I'm a total nerd, or you can pick up the highlights and the executive summary as well. So if you go to the coachfederation.org, click on resources, research, you'll find the global study there as well. Of course, if you would like to interact with us, please feel free to pop a message into the chat box and we'll pick up your comments and questions as we go along. So let's talk about the study. Well, what I like about the study is it was commissioned by the ICF Global, and they commissioned PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, to complete the report. And this report is an ongoing report. So it's been going on for several years now. And what's exciting about that is we can actually see the change in our industry as we go along. For the 2025 global study, over 10,000 coaches participated from 127 countries from all around the world, which is wonderful. And some of you might be thinking, well, are they all ICF credentialed or ICF members? And no, actually, they do go out beyond the International Coach Federation to other federations and coaching people and participants. So it's not just ICF people. Importantly, over the last couple of years, what we have seen is the report is now including data from managers or leaders who act as coaches internally. And this is great. We've been tracking this for a couple of years now. And now the study, about 10% of the people who participate in the study actually identify as internal coaches, managers or leaders who coach. So we are watching that really carefully, and it's very exciting to see that number grow as well. The coaching report, the study, breaks down data by region, which is really great to see. And it does break down the data for Australia. We are under Oceania. So if you're looking at the detailed report, you look at the Oceania data, which we're included in, and it provides comprehensive snapshots across the industry. So that's why we like it. And I open it up with enthusiasm. Maybe because I'm the nerd of the family, but anyway. So let's look at some of the detail. Let me share some of the detail with you. And hopefully this gives you optimism and gives you some insights to where the industry is going and what that means for us all as professional coaches. So first of all, the global coaching industry is worth $5.34 billion US. And that revenue is up 17% since 2023, which is really significant. $5.34 billion US. Oceania accounts for $170 million US dollars. So our region, Australia, New Zealand, and our Pacific Island friends account for $170 million US. So it's a big industry. The number of coaches globally is estimated at about 123,000, and that is up 23% from 2023. And the optimism about revenue growth is high. So most coaches think that their revenue is going to grow, with the exception of some of the regions. So this is where you've got to go into the detail, and I've done that for you. Demand is expected to stagnate or perhaps no change in our region. So whilst global optimism is up about revenue growth, demand has actually stagnated, or there's been no change over the last 2 years in Oceania. So just something to think about. Optimism's up, but the growth hasn't actually caught up with that yet. There is definitely, since the last survey, an increase in the use of technology, with about 37% of coaches saying that saying that adapting to technology is a major concern. Now, I'm interested in that because I think 37% of coaches saying that adapting to technology is a major concern is actually low. I think that number, I'm not saying that coaches should be worried about adapting to technology, but it's not, 37%, 1/3 doesn't really, it feels low to me. But anyway, so there is definitely increase of the use of technology, and I'll talk about that shortly as well. Let's get into more of the detail, and then Paula, of course, I'd like to hear your thoughts on what you're hearing as well. There is a generational shift starting. So Gen Xers make up about half of the coaches, and that has increased, but about 53%. Baby boomers make up about 35% of the coaches globally, and that's starting to decrease. So a slight increase in Gen Xers and a slight decrease in baby boomers. The first time we've seen a bit of a generational shift there. So, but overwhelmingly about over 80%, 88% of all coaches are in the Gen X and above, older age groups. So millennials, they're about 11%. And as I mentioned, the start of a generational shift with boomers potentially retiring and moving out of the industry, and the Gen Xers taking over. Good news for a lot of us who are in that Gen X space. About 72% of coaches identify as women. However, male coaches outnumber women in the baby boomer category. So that's interesting as well. And in the Gen X, it's women are slightly ahead of the male coaches as well. So that's interesting. There's no split in this report. I need to go and double check this, but the big concern we had last time, for those of you that are long-term listeners, you'll know that we were very concerned about the split in income, and that male coaches were achieving significant increases in income over female coaches. So there's something I need to go and double check for you. But it was a huge concern last time. We basically said anyone that identifies as female should go and increase their rates by at least 20%. So that's not what we're suggesting this time. I need to double check that with you. What is very interesting to me, and this is a new piece of data in the report, which I hadn't picked up before. So I read the report. Not everything, hits my radar, but this was a very interesting one. 2/3 of all coach practitioners now hold a third level education. And a third level education across the globe is defined as a master's or doctorate level. Here I am thinking that I am actually special holding a doctorate, but actually apparently 2/3 of all coaches now are holding higher education. It's lower in Oceania, with only about just over half of people holding that higher level. But there's no doubt about the fact that people in our industry, like all of you, most of you, I imagine, are on the line listening to this podcast with us today. We know that open door clients, for example, all hold higher level qualifications. And you're all doing your coaching qualifications, or most of you will be. So holding a master's, bachelor's, etc., is pretty common for our industry. 73% of coaches globally state that they expect their clients, 73% of coaches globally say that clients expect their coaches to be certified or credentialed. And it's just under that number in Oceania. It's about 67% of coaches in Oceania say that their clients expect their coaches to be certified or credentialed. Now, of course, you could say, well, that data is skewed by the population, but don't forget that they didn't only survey credentialed coaches. So you might say, well, obviously that statistic is you're going to see that statistic. It might be skewed, it might be some bias there. But they didn't only survey credentialed coaches. That's the only thing I would say about that. Paula, let's get your initial reactions to some of those statistics. I'm interested in we've been discussing recently quite a lot about the levels of education that our clients hold. And of course, they need to be certified. There's no doubt about that. But any initial thoughts at all?
Well, the generational shift doesn't surprise me because as baby boomers are retiring, etc., then that would be decreasing. I will be very interested over the next couple of years in regards to the millennials,
Yeah.
particularly as we're now incorporating if you're coaching in-house coaching or leaders or managers as coaches, because I think the millennials are actually really that they like adopting the coaching style. So
Yeah.
as they continue to adopt that coaching style, I'm thinking that will actually grow and develop in that space, particularly if they're now calculating that leader manager figure in there.
Yes, I agree with you. It will be a good one and a good thing to note. An increase in millennial coaching, as you say, because millennials, as we know, do adopt. And then, of course, what does that look like in terms of the uplift in-house coaches as well? Yeah.
Yeah, and it is fascinating that we've been talking about what sort of background coaches have and where do they come from. And so, but I think the 2/3 of coach practitioners holding a master's or doctorate actually does surprise me, not necessarily because I don't think we're wonderful, fabulously educated people. I just think that it sounds like a high number in that space.
Yeah, I thought it was quite high as well. So that's why I've put it there. As always, whenever I do these numbers and present like this, I always go back and check. So I'll be doing that again, making sure that we're giving you the accurate data. So the generational shift is actually interesting. And what is also interesting is that leadership and executive coaching is the dominant area of coaching for coaches, and management and executives are the main client base. So I like to keep an eye on this statistic as well, because it does show actually how coaching has evolved over the years. Many of us will be, many of us have over 20 years experience or over 10 years experience with the coaching industry. So it does really show the evolving nature of coaching. This has been the case for quite some time. The leadership and executive coaching is the dominant type of area in coaching for coaches, and managers and executives are the main client base. So this is another a really interesting highlight as well, and that is the survey has shown. The survey asked, what are coaches doing to pursue growth in their business, their own personal development and growth, but growth in their business. And this is really interesting because the growth strategies that coaches are pursuing more qualifications. So 43% of coaches have obtained additional coaching qualifications. Now, I hear those skeptics on the line, and I don't mind you, being skeptical. We are a coach training organization. We've been delivering coach training and coaching qualifications for over 20 years. So you would expect that we would highlight this, wouldn't you? You'd expect some bias to be kicking in here. But I can hand on heart tell you this is not a biased approach to presenting with you. We're in integrity from this point of view. The data says how our coaches pursue, what are the coaches pursuing in terms of growth strategies, and the top one is actually pursue a different additional coaching qualification. So delighted to hear that we as a profession are pursuing qualifications. 32% of coaches are focused on new coaching specialities, which is really great too. For the first time in the survey, they're now tracking coaching specialities such as neurodiversity in coaching, ADHD coaching, and sales coaching, and team coaching. So there's a number of emerging areas of coaching that are now being tracked in the study. So they're a tiny percentage of the overall at the moment, but that'll be really interesting to see how that develops as well. 32% of coaches are raising their hourly fees, so that's great news. And these growth strategies that coaches are pursuing are likely to continue over the next couple of years. Interestingly, and probably great news as well, only 10% said that they would take no action. So 10% are comfortable or comfortably uncomfortable, wherever they might be. But the majority of coaches in our industry are doing something and taking action to pursue one or more growth strategies for their businesses and for their internal coaching. There's a growing emphasis on performance tracking, and I know you'll be keen to hear this, Paula, because of your background and your focus on measurements and KPIs and the like. There's the coaching study asked about the required resources to meet future demands in the coaching industry. The first thing that coaches are focusing on is their continuous professional development. I was delighted to hear that 73% of coaches say that in order to meet future demands, they need to be continuously professionally developing. And isn't it wonderful? Here we are as a community listening to this podcast or joining us live doing exactly that. So, that's always makes me happy that as a profession, we're continuing to develop our profession and our development of ourselves and others. 54% of Gen Xers now are using performance tracking tools. So over half of the population have a growing emphasis on tracking and performance tracking, and there's a growing emphasis on the use of performance metrics. So this is very good to see in our industry as well, that we are now really focused on performance metrics and the impact the coaching's having, and using tools actually to do that. And there's an increased demand for organisational researchers. And interestingly, this has come out of the research I did for my doctorate as well. There's quite a number of good papers out there that are now saying what do organisations need to do and what do organisations need to provide in terms of resources to enable future demands for coaching. Paula, any thoughts or comments you have just when you think about metrics are on the rise?
Well, I'm actually going to connect it with the last slide too, that says if people are trying to obtain coaching qualifications and certifications and continually grow that, that's a really good sign that the professionalism of the coaching industry is strong and vibrant, and that people are saying that if people want you to be qualified, that's also good, because it helps to weed out anybody who's calling themselves a coach but isn't actually coaching, and really people are really understanding more about what coaching truly is. So I think that's super cool from that perspective. And then the fact that there's an emphasis on the performance tracking again links into the professionalism of our profession. So if we are able to track that performance, if we're able to demonstrate the benefits that people are getting from the coaching, it helps to build that credibility of the coaching space. So for me, they're ticks all around.
Yes, and for those of you that are doing our Diploma of Leadership Coaching, you will know that calculating return on investment from coaching, performance metrics, the use of performance management and development plans for coaching, it's all part of our diploma. So I agree with you, Paula. I think that it's great to see that performance tracking and measurements and metrics are a part of our profession, a very strong part of our profession. And that's why, when we were looking at what do we need to do for the diploma, the steering committee were very strong on this as well. So it supports the research we've been doing as well. Interestingly, 47% of coaches are using digital coaching platforms, but it's mostly for one-on-one coaching. So for me, that is a watch this space. As I said, 47% of coaches are using digital coaching platforms, but it's mostly for one-on-one coaching. So they're not really doing much more than doing what we're doing, using digital platforms to actually do virtual coaching. I think it's a watch this space. Interestingly, only 11% of coaches are using digital technology to do goal tracking and progress. So that is interesting to me as well. There's not really an uptake in digital technology for goal tracking. And the thing that we are going to really keep an eye on now is that only 6% of coaches are using AI-powered coaching or chat boxes. So coaches aren't really on board at the moment with AI-powered coaching and chat boxes. That 6% is a big increase, but the goal tracking and progress is not that significant. And as I said, most coaches are only at the moment using whatever platforms they're using for virtual coaching. So that is the watch this space. It is an area where I think we as coaches need to have a really good think. And many of you will know that we have done podcasts throughout the year on AI-powered coaching and chat boxes. So we're very keen to keep an eye on this. And our big push when we were doing those coaching cafes with you throughout the year was let's not put our heads in the sand about this. Paula, I think you coined the term, let's be explorers and navigators and curious about how AI-powered coaching can assist us and assist our clients rather than putting our heads in the sand. So that's the big watch this space for me that's come out of the global report. Thoughts about that at all, Paula?
Yeah, I think from the conversations I've had with other coaches and the like, what I can tell that people are using the AI for is really about honing their own coaching skills and being able to go. I think there's some usefulness in to say, if I ask this question, where would that have led? Or what other great questions could I have added in here that would be of use to me? From my conversations, that's about where it's being used at this point. But I agree. I mean, the AI space is moving pretty quickly. So what it could be used for moving forward is interesting. But I would find it very hard if you're working with teams and the like to be using AI at the same time. I'm not sure how that would work, but who knows?
Exactly. Who knows? Let's watch the space, hey? And as we've always said, let's be part of it with curiosity and explorers rather than sticking our heads in the sand. So, interesting. Alrighty, well, we have our certificate for in workplace and business coaching, our diploma of leadership coaching. All the dates are being set for next year. Please feel free to join us on those programs. We're really proud of those programs, and they do set us up for the future in terms of coaching qualifications and you being part of that. If you're looking to grow and develop your coaching in the new year. I shouldn't put that up. We, as always, say thank you so much for joining us. That's given us a bit of the highlights of the Global Coaching Study. There's lots more to go into, actually. And you can feel free to download the executive summary or the main report as well. Lots and lots of detail in that report, which can give us some really great insights, but hopefully that gives you a snapshot and some of the highlights. So thank you everyone for joining us on the line. It's been great to catch up with you. Please join us in 2 weeks' time, where we will actually have our final coaching cafe for the year, and we will wrap up all of the highlights from the year. So I'm a bit sad to be finishing up the year in coaching cafes, because you know that we always love joining you here, but we look forward to catching up with you in a couple of weeks' time. We will say goodbye for now and enjoy your coaching.